This is Morten from English TV, and we are here again with yet another episode of Over the Skype. I have almost fallen in love with this format because, first of all, I get to talk to so many exciting people, but I also get to get around the world without the jet lags, without the congested airports. And this time we are in Italy, not so far away from Turin, and I'm going to talk to Stefano De Marco, who is working for Tecnau in Italy. So, Stefano, can you introduce what do you do and what is your business?
Yes, hi Morten, and hello everybody. Thanks for having me with you. So I actually have the opportunity to introduce my new role. So I've just recently taken over as managing director for Tecnau. Many people know me for my role in sales and marketing in the EMEA region, which is what I've covered for the last 7-8 years. And being part of a family business, recently my father, Giuliano, the CEO, asked me to take over some more responsibility. So that's actually happening from the month of April, where I've taken over the responsibility for the operations at global level. And we're actually just informing partners, distributors. So I'm going to be more in contact with a lot of people from now on.
But that is great news. So first of all, congratulations on that. So you are one of the people that really like to take on more responsibility. I wish that somebody would take over my responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, this has been in the pipeline for some time. I had the opportunity to work very close to my father for several years, and I hope I've learned a lot. At the same time, I'm pleased that we have several external managers as well, which support me and have been with the company for so many years. So there are very deep knowledge, and we are, I think, a strong management team together, and we look forward to new adventures.
Sounds great. But Stefano, I think it's great to understand that the continuity of Tecnau with you managing the company and with a good board of directors and managers as well is really good to know. But how is the market for? Because I mean, you're mainly focusing on roll-based finishing equipment, isn't that right?
Yeah, we do. Let's say finishing solution for both roll and cut sheet. For the high-end digital printing industry. So there have been quite a few of exciting movement in the last few years. Obviously, I mean, this is a difficult time. 2020 is going to be a challenge, and not only, let's say, in these days, but we will see some effects across the year. That's clear.
Yeah.
But what I see talking to people is that nobody really wants to stop. So. Everybody wants to carry on. Everybody wants to go back to work. Everybody has projects on the table and wants to keep on working on them as soon as possible. So the production printing has gone through many changes, and many new markets have been opened. The graphic arts, the publishing. And we've been doing well supporting our partners there.
And I think that, of course, it's a little bit unfair that you take over the position as managing director in a time where your results are not influenced by your work, but influenced by the corona crisis and the changes in the world anyway. But I'm pretty sure that you will have a strong strategy to move forward. Stefano, one of the things that I'm a little bit interested in to understand is if there wasn't the corona crisis and if time was like more normal, how is the market for high-end finishing from your perspective?
Well, if we look at 2019, for instance, that was more a normal year, without, let's say, big trade shows like the Drupa, which was planned, or without external crisis. 2019 has been a very good year for us and for the market in general, I would say. The number of inkjet printers has gone up, especially in the United States and in Asia Pacific. In some areas in Europe, we did see some level of saturation, especially in the traditional segment of transactional, for instance, in direct mail.
Yeah.
But the publishing segment, for instance, has been doing very well. And the commercial print has finally opened up. So there have been a lot of new technologies put in the market. And I think customers have decided to take advantage of those.
I was wondering because, as you mentioned, the transactional market is slightly decreasing in Europe. Do you think that is due to change in needs of communication via direct mail, things like that, or is it more also because the postal rates in Europe has increased a lot over the past years?
From my perspective, is primarily related to saturation from a technological perspective, in the sense that a lot of the change from toner to inkjet has already occurred in most of the countries. So let's say customers have today already the right technology to run in an efficient way. And we start to see now maybe a first replacement trends for those customers who were early adopters. But the cycle for this kind of investment is maybe 5 to 7 years. So those who invested 3-4 years ago, they are still in good shape.
So does that mean that when you look at your R&D and the products that you bring to market, is that like, of course you have to supply the demand also for the replacing current equipment, but does it also mean that you mentioned the growing and increase in inkjet for example, commercial print? Does that mean that you change also a little bit focus on maybe more other types of binding equipment that fits with that change in demand, or how do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that started to occur already several years ago. But today, definitely the most of attention from R&D is in publishing and commercial print. We introduced about a year ago a new platform, the Revolution 50, which is really a number of modules, cutting and stacking, and a different kind of stacking, a buffer and stringfold, which we're just releasing actually. And this is really for the heavy-duty 24/7 commercial print customers. So obviously, when we talk about cut and stack, I mean, you can use it across the borders, right? You can use it in the transactional segment as well, and that's also where we have actually very good installs. So it's typically when we deploy a new platform, especially for cutting and stacking, that's across the segments. So for the transactional, maybe they would take advantage of the higher speed, while maybe the commercial printer would take advantage of the media flexibility.
Yeah.
But it actually addressed both.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm a little bit curious about, because I have always, when I've been at some of the shows, especially the last time I saw you guys was at ThinkSmart Factory in Kyoto, and every time I see both you and Hunkler, and I see also some of the big inkjet machines, I think that the modular approach you have and the way that you can interface cross brands is a strength, of course, for the consumer and for the customer. But isn't that also like giving you a headache, in the sense that, let's say that you have the best stacker but not the best cutter, then I guess that you can combine different brands into one workflow, can't you?
Right. I mean, obviously, finishing is a very complex segment. And I think there's a reason why then there is really very few players in this segment. And because it really requires knowledge and expertise in different fields, but also it requires to be able to adapt and cooperate with the several printer partners, which have different technologies, different needs, different interface. And the same with the finishing. But that's where I believe as a company, we have tried to focus, and where we have come up with a good job, is to see finishing as an enabler. So customers today cannot look at processes on a standalone base. They cannot look at the printing, finishing, workflow, but it really requires everything to be connected and tightened together. And what we've tried to do, delivering innovative solution to the market, is to have the finishing being an enabler for the capabilities of the digital printing. So make new application possible, because you can, theoretically, let me say, simplify and print anything. But then the question is, what do you do once you have a roll? Or what do you do once you have a A3 or a B2 sheet? How do you transform that in an efficient way into a finished product? So that's where we try to help.
Yeah, but that also means that I mean, just to understand the value chain and your value proposition is basically that the combination of end-to-end solutions that you offer, combined with a high level of knowledge about both the products and also the print engines ahead of the equipment. Is that where you think that you have a strength in the market? Because I mean, with this interoperational abilities that we just spoke about, I think that you must. I'm not trying to have a leading question, but I'm trying to be like open, curious about what is it that Tecnau offers that makes customers should choose you as a supplier.
Well, as I mentioned, I think we try to look at processes in a different way. So I'll give you an example. In a way, to be innovative in the graphic arts industry is difficult because
we end up with a book, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the processes are standard. A cutter is a cutter. A string folder is a string folder. But here I'm, of course, oversimplifying. It's not the process itself; it's the way you handle that. So about 7-8 years ago, we introduced a zero-speed splicer into the market.
And
very common feature.
What is that?
Well, that's basically a solution which allows to change automatically a roll.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so
like you see on the web offset machines, basically, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a very common process in offset. Absolutely almost non-existing until let's say 7-8 years ago in the digital, excluding, let's say, maybe those really high-speed presses, 40-inch, 30-inch, which were using actually offset solution. So when we introduced that, then we said we want to put the Tecnau vision into this. So traditional splicer have one roll on the top and one roll on the bottom. That's how all splicers are designed. We decided to use two parallel unwinders. So take two standard unwinders, you double it, and then you put a splicing tower in between. So why did we do that? Because we want customers to be able to run one roll, and then before ending that, if they want, they can swap on the fly to the next roll, which can be different paper type, can be a different width, and then go back. So splicers are done traditionally to increase the efficiency.
Yeah.
But here we want also to overcome what is the intrinsic limitation of a continuous feed, which is flexibility, or the lack of media flexibility, because you need to run typically a full roll before changing that. So with this solution, you introduce this flexibility, and the same on the back end. So what customer typically get blocked by is that they need to run again a full roll before changing the rewinder. And what if they have an urgent job? What if they want to have they have the same media, but they want to print for dark mail, so go to a folder, and then for a book and go to a string folder. Well, then we introduce the same concept on the back plus a patented interface with printers, so that they can change on the fly, depending on a code, depending on what they want to transfer the jobs, and they can create the mini rolls.
But that is fantastic, because that basically means that by of course I know that everybody who is inventing and producing equipment, of course, have to look into what the market needs. But what you're saying here is basically that you also sometimes by your own means investigate how you can make your customers have more flexible solutions, right?
Exactly. It's trying to see what are today the bottlenecks. Not all customers are the same. They do similar things, but they have different processes, different workflow. So the other thing really try to understand is what is important for that specific customer. And also do customization, do specials for them. And especially in the graphic arts, we see this ends up to be a big plus for customer, which really want a sort of unique solution tailor-made for them. Yeah,
and I think that is what I like about your approach, because as you said, when you move from transactional print to commercial print, the needs are changing. For example, with the media diversity, as you spoke about, but maybe also the flexibility in short runs and things like that. So I guess that is great. Is that something that you believe is unique to your solutions, or is it something that you see from competitors as well?
Well, the media flexibility, let's say, is it's a demand from the market,
Yeah.
and the companies try to respond in different ways.
Yeah.
I can say that Tecnau has been doing a lot of work into this matter, and a lot of testing, both by ourselves and both with printer partners. And with the Revolution 50 platform, one thing we see intrinsic to the design is what we call the deterministic approach. So that's a core value we bring forward through the Revolution 50, which is the ability of running different media, different application with the setups which are known ahead. So, and this comes with a hard work of testing, which we're very proud of.
Sounds great. I am just for the audience. I am writing a little bit about the stream flow right now, and I must, to be dead honest, I have been in commercial print all my life. So to actually understand and how complex the finishing of roll-based finishing is, I have actually studied quite a few websites because I'm always concerned about grain directions. I'm always concerned about the finished products. But I think that from what I see and what I understand from the Revolution 50 that you're talking about, seems that you have got into some really great engineerings in your products. How difficult is it to? I mean, I'm not asking as a layman, but I'm just thinking that you have with the new streamflow, you have like 230 meters per minute processing, right? It must be challenging to get registration. It must be challenging to make sure that everything works just as planned. So how long time does a process take from you get an idea to you have a finished product?
Well, with the Revolution 50, it was pretty long, I can say, because before that, with the previous platform, we always went through, let's say, incremental improvement. But the basic technology was pretty much the same. On this technology, and I like to repeat a statement that came actually from one of our good printer partners after he saw it. He said, Stefano, the only thing you kept here is the color.
Yeah.
So we really changed everything. We changed the hardware, we changed the electronics, we changed the software, we changed the cutting technology. So it was a very long process, a long design phase and a long testing phase. But we believe this was truly needed because the digital, until a few years ago, sort of lived, let me say, in a separate world. So digital printers, the customer buying digital printers were really digital printers. They didn't have offset. So they knew what they could get from digital, and they knew the plus, the minus, and they accepted it. Now that we have all addressed the offset world, I believe that the offset customer, they want all the benefits of the digital plus the benefits of the offset. So it's no compromise. So they want the reliability, they want the strength, they want the robustness, they want the 24/7 operation, they want the throughput, plus they want all the automation and the flexibility that the digital can offer. And to be frank, we look at ourselves in the eyes and we say to ourselves, well, then we need something different. We need to design from scratch and build something completely new. And then we generated the Revolution 50.
Wow. That sounds like both an investment and some time that I put into this one. So what is, because I think that one of the things that you always have to take into consideration when we talk about roll-based finishing, especially for digital inkjet equipment, is that the pace of getting the inkjet devices to market. Do you think the speed of the current vendors, how they got to market, has been per plan, or has it been slower adapted than was expected?
Well, I would say the speed of bringing new products to market has been pretty fast. So there have been new printers getting into the market quite with, let me say, not many years of distance. And when it was not a new platform, it was continuous improvements. in speed, in print quality, media flexibility. So it's really a non-stop market introduction in a way.
Yeah.
And makes sense, I would say, because you have beautiful technology and you want to make good use of that. And you want customer to start using it and also test the boundaries so that you can go to the next level. I don't think you can really wait until you will say a product is completely, finished and you don't see any more innovation to put in because we're not there yet. There is still a lot to do in inkjet.
Yeah.
And I would say the same is finishing, of course, because we just had to follow or how we try to anticipate some of that.
Yeah, I also saw from your website when I was, at least I remember, I think I saw it from your website, but maybe you can correct me. You have also invented a new gripper technology in order to make sure that you can take substrates with a higher density of ink. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's also a solution that we implemented a couple of years ago, and that's also in continuous development. And that's also, I would say, it goes back to what I stated in trying to add features in the finishing. So this comes again from the offset. If you look at any offset press, it works like that. But nobody had ever used that into a finishing system, and we did it. And I can say also that customer reaction was great because one of the challenges really in the graphic arts is to handle those heavy ink, highly coated stock in a good way, and that technology is proven for 100 years. It was, I think, a smart move to put it into a finishing system, and it's very well accepted.
So I think that I think that everybody now understands, if they didn't know that in advance, that Tecnau is really focused on both quality but also innovation and adapting to customer needs in the market as well. So what is I wouldn't say the future, because that is like maybe too broad definition. But if you look at it from, we spoke just that 2019 was great and 2020 is obviously in challenges. But do you think that the market will revert to like a normal state after the coronavirus, or will it take time to get to the next level?
Well, I think obviously it depends when this crisis will end, when we will be able, to go back to sort of the normal lives at least. Assuming this starts happening in May, as many countries are talking about, I believe that the second half of the year can still be good for the market. If it is not the second half, it will be maybe Q4, Q1 next year. But overall, I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
We are continuing to introduce the new technologies. We just introduced the string folder 5152 for pre-glued boot block production, part of the Revolution 50. That's because we see customer need it now. So this was obviously planned to be a big announcement for Drupa, but the product is available. We are making the first installs, and we see customer demand it. So that's encouraging, I would say.
Yeah.
And in general, all the talks which are still going, obviously we'll see a slowdown, but I'm optimistic more.
That sounds great. Stefano, one of the things that also came to mind when I was browsing your website is that you seem to have a very well spread out distribution network, but you also have your own entities, for example, both in Sweden and other countries. Why is that, and how is that influencing your sales and marketing strategies?
Yeah, so this goes back a little bit to the history of Tecnau. So Tecnau itself is started as an Italian company, but in 2011 we purchased LaserMax Roll Systems, which was let's say 50% Swedish and 50% American company, and today it's all under the Tecnau brand name. So we kept the factories. We believe it's a strength for our company. We have about 60 people in Sweden, and about 70 people in the United States. And we think this is also a big differentiator from other players. From a cultural perspective, because I truly believe that there are plus and minus in every culture, and the three ones I mentioned, they complement each other pretty well. There are those challenges, of course, behind it, and there is a strong level of complexity for a company like ours, which is about 230 employees. But at the end of the day, I think the plus are more than the minus. And more than this, I mean, we're close to our customers.
Yeah.
I truly believe we are, for more than 50%, an American company. Yeah. We are so close. We're 70 people, which are talking every day to our customers, to our partners. They are there. We provide 24/7 support. And that's a unique advantage we can offer.
It's like when you acquired the Swedish American company Lasermax, I think that was because of the technology, and now it seems that you have bought into some cultural advantages as well.
Yeah, it was for the technology, and it was for the market presence, because Lasermax has always had a very strong presence. Especially United States, but also in Asia Pacific, where traditionally Tecnau maybe was less. And also you mentioned the distribution network, which is also important. And a lot of our current distributor come from the Lasermax heritage, and they do have a very strong knowledge of our products, and they've been with us for many years, going through all the changes the market experience.
So that seems that everything is on the right course with the Tecnau, and now you can hopefully harvest a lot of success based on your father's work, and based on your acquisitions, and based on understanding the market, and everything that you've just been talking about for these past 30 minutes. So Stefano, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope to see you in real person at some point. So thank you very much for joining me here on Over the Skype at English. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Morten, and yes, see you soon for sure.
I hope so. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.